Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back to OC Power Players, where I interview some of the most successful people in Orange County. I'm Danny Flores, your host, and today's honored guest is Martin Schreiber, zooming in from San Clemente. Martin has over 20 years of experience in leadership. He focuses on strategy and operations, consulting in complex healthcare settings. His diverse background includes working with executives from various fields, such as healthcare and education. He is skilled in leadership development, strategic vision, and cultural enhancement, utilizing his expertise in research, change management, and digital communications to achieve significant outcomes. He offers extensive global experience that enhances his engaging presentations and excel in guiding diverse teams, creating effective leadership curricula aimed at fostering transformation. The power of sensory awareness in leadership unlocks the human potential as a force for good. He offers his skill by teaching others the method of self-discovery. His goal is to inspire individuals to unlock their potential and lead with intention. Join him in a journey towards transformative leadership that resonates across cultures and industries. Martin, thank you so much for joining us here.
Danny, it's great to be with you. You have such an exciting list of guests and appreciate the time today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us a little bit on exactly how you got into what you do and what that looks like.
Yeah, I think all of us have a story, and that story, we come in the middle of each other's stories, even you and me today. Technology can be a friend, and then it can be somewhat of a barrier, but today we're getting through it. And I would just say my story is one with kind of three avenues that got me to where I am today. And the first part really has to do with growing up in a family where my dad would come home having been a physician and working in the ICU, and he would sit there and we would wait for dinner, and he would say I have a very interesting case to talk to you about today. And he would proceed to tell us about the story of medicine and what took place there. And for me, that meant that he was a man of curiosity. My mom being an educator, that shaped me too. And so in the process, I thought I wanted to do medicine and some education. And interestingly enough, that led me into joining the Jesuits. It's a Catholic order that helped me in so many regards to see the face of poverty for 14 years. I went around the world and really got to know what it meant to try and live within cultures that are diverse, but then also places that have extraordinary challenges. And those 14 years shaped me. They gave me a sense of spirituality. They also introduced me to a method which is called the spiritual exercises. It's a method of how we do leadership, ways that we see the world with awe and wonder, and a place that we can really understand that the people in front of us are the most important. Lots of different degrees that aren't as important to our conversation today, but the mind can really be a place where we learn. And those cultures and those people help me to understand that there's a tremendous opportunity when you listen to someone. And so after those, in terms of the second kind of way, I decided to go into healthcare and was shaped in healthcare and what healthcare needs. And the needs of healthcare are extraordinary. Just walking outside and talking to my neighbor of trying to get into an urgent care, what that means. But I really think that what we see now in this healthcare is a greater need for awareness. And my life story of being a Jesuit, of taking vows, Danny, I took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. I had 8 boxes when I moved on when I was in my 30s, and just had to figure out, well, where am I still feeling that I need to do some good, be a force for good? And this space of being in this place has helped me with that. And really, I got to feel to you today to say I'm grateful.
Yeah, no, definitely. The story that you're sharing is inspirational, and it kind of grounds us, right, to what is really important in life. Sometimes we all have, being human, we kind of get carried away or get sucked into these flashy things sometimes, or chasing these massive goals. Right. But at the end of the day, it's who are we really touching? I
Right.
think at the end of the day, that really matters. Can we bring a smile to somebody's face? Maybe not forever, but maybe for a day, for a week, for a month. And if we align our goals in that way so that we can make a difference in the world, maybe we can't change everybody or help everybody, but at least the people that are within our reach would be significant.
Yeah, I think that what you said is really important. That's really about the present moment. And so much of what we see is that the future brings anxiety. The past can be depressive if we're trying to redo it, because you can't. But
Yep.
how we are here, even you and me today, and trying to say we want to be a force for good. In these elements that I have learned over the course of my career are places that, I think there's great awe and wonder in being in the present moment. And I think a lot of people, whether it be an executive who's trying in some ways to change our gas stations in our city, or whether it be a neurosurgeon, we all have something to share. And figuring out what it is that we share in common seems to be a much better process to help us within healthcare to care for all people, which is the basic mission of the place that I'm coming from.
So when you joined the Jesuits, what does that mean? Join
Sure.
as what? What did you become?
Great question. The Jesuits are a worldwide order in the Catholic Church, and they were founded by St. Ignatius Loyola, who, and I thought of the word that's in your podcast, power. He was a man who was a soldier and wanted to claim power. But what happened was he got hit by a cannonball, which is a bad place to be when you're a soldier, had a
Right.
convalescence, and decided that he wanted to build a different type of way to go through the world. And so when I joined this place, they asked you to sell everything you had. They asked you to take vows that would allow you to be a greater servant to the world. And I walked in at 21 after working in a corporate finance firm, working on IPOs, secondary offerings. We even brought the Cleveland Indians public. But I felt in some ways that this group could help me to grow. And it did. It was one of the greatest privileges of my life. And so then I was subsequently formed within that method of the spiritual exercises that's within these ideas of how you be someone of imagination and utilize some of those skills. So that was it. And so for 14 years, I've lived within that context. You turned in anything you had, you lived within no marriage or sex, and you went and followed where you needed to go on mission. So if you think about it, that's been my life work, is to always be on mission in a different capacity. Now, as a dad of 4 under 9 and living in San Clemente, I could tell you that my life is not as quiet as it used to be, Danny.
4 under 9.
4 under 9. Yeah, and they are all here in San Clemente, enjoying the schools and enjoying this life that we are grateful for that is offered. But I think even in that, I walk out with wonder because of my training. And I am with my friends at baseball last night as we sit up at our parks and just enjoy being a community in a period of time that I think that can be really hard, especially traveling and seeking things,
Right. So then after 14 years,
Yeah.
your service changes.
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
Because I felt a call to do something else. I felt a call to move into wanting to be married, wanting to have a way that I could understand how God was asking me to serve. And that meant that I was no longer going to be doing what I was as a person who was in that order and a priest. And what I needed to do is to go find where God was saying, this is a place for you. This is a spiritual element. And that meant that I had to walk out with very little, which is a great personal freedom. I don't know if you think about by 31 what you had taken, and then you just went free to restart. And fortunately, being able to have a wife and being able to have a career that was in Catholic healthcare meant that I would be able to utilize some of those things that I had learned and do it in a new way. A way that, health systems need us to be more aware.
Right. And so do you still try to continue work helping and teaching your children too? Because it's like a really great quality for the children that we have to be able to raise them in such a way to expose them to that. Not that they're entitled, Nobody owes them anything. You know, the mentality of many of the children now or young adults now that say, hey, you got to give me. I'm thinking like, well, what do we have to give you? We don't have to give you anything. We'll teach you. You go out and get it.
I love your question, because I was trained in working in these orphanages, and I was in East Africa, one of the first HIV positive orphanage. I went back and forth for 20 years dealing with those types of situations. And now I have my own children, and I see my own children wake up and deal with, do I go right to the iPad? Am I aware to walk outside in one of the most beautiful parts of the world? And how can I help them to slow into this great gift we have in life today is everything that I do. And you do that too, I'm sure, and try and just bring in a sense that this is okay to be here rather than I'm worried about the next call, rather than I'm worried about what's my salary going to be. How can I understand that these kids are right in front of us? These baseball diamonds are here with people who are just so curious, and not miss that because I'm on my phone, or I missed that he hit a double because I had to check an email,
Yeah, yeah. No, see, so that's exactly right. You couldn't have said it any better. And that's for any parent out there listening to us. I have 4 children, and mine are even tighter than yours. Mine are 4 and 5 years, and they're all boys. 2 just graduated from college. I have 2 still left in college. But teaching them and being an example to them. And sometimes you don't even have to say anything. Just be an example. They're watching everything you do, so you're teaching by example.
Yeah, example of too how in our world we have a partner, we have marriages that help us in a way to even be a mirror to ourselves. I couldn't have got on this call if I didn't have my wife and being able to say, we got this if you are going to give your message. And children watching everything means that we have to be more in touch with ourselves. We talk a lot about within Providence St. Joseph Health, this whole person. Am I aware of the sounds that are impacting me? Am I aware of what it is that I enjoy, or do I ignore things? And the kids are the same way. They can gravitate just to one thing. I mean, I think we're seeing books from the anxious generation. We're seeing research around the senses, wonderful researchers, Norm Farb and Gretchen Rubin. People are saying, draw people to a greater sense that what's around them is important to pay attention to, because we can miss it. We totally can miss that person that we thought was an intrusion was actually the gift that we needed to take a minute with.
Yeah. And you have to live for that moment and stop and think a little bit.
Yeah.
The world is fast. I mean, you've been to other countries.
Yeah.
And I've traveled to other countries as well. Boy, in the United States, we're just like super fast. And that's what I love about other countries where everybody's slower, right? Everybody's slower. They take the time to smell the roses, to relax, to build relationships, to continue doing that, family and neighbors, wherever else. And we don't do that here in the United States as much as we should.
Well, and I think it's okay to go fast as long as we have time to go slow. So as much as efficiency can be our friend, fast is a speed. And I was just with my daughter, and we were talking about the difference between the turtle and the rabbit. And you got it. You can't always live in the world of the turtle. You got to be able to have a rabbit that helps you to move. But what if you are always running and you're never there?
Yeah.
I imagine, Danny, people out there feel that. And they say, well, how could I just discover that I'm okay right now? That anxiety that is always running maybe is that we'll never get there if we just don't take a moment here. And Thich Nhat Hanh and all of these, St. Ignatius Loyola, all these people are aware that the present moment is the moment that is our gift. And that, I think, is what the other cultures has taught me, from Hinduism and Buddhism and the Christianity, and the greatest, biggest sense of being Catholic has really given me an opportunity to enjoy life. So I have not lost it.
Right. And then it seems like you can still continue working and changing people and helping people in a different way, right? In a different way, and that should never stop.
It won't stop because if your curiosity continues and you're not burnt out, I mean, we see research that the burnout then takes away from curiosity. It takes from the sense that this researcher says you just keep on waking up every morning and say, I'm stuck. Well, how do you get unstuck? And I think that for me is I get stuck. And what if I just was aware that people were around me who could help me? And you can't change people. You can't control these things.
No.
I mean, but you can be present to them. You can help people to feel that they're not invisible,
Yeah.
whomever you walk up to. And I think that that's really a key. I was with a great friend this week and we were at the Bananas game, Savannah Bananas. And what we were finding is you just can't control the experience. You have to be within it. And same on a podcast, you have to be in it. And that to me is an opportunity to really be who you are. And that might be one of our messages today is that sense, if I'm going to be a whole person, how can I be who I am and not be scared of that?
Right, right. And everybody's different. There's no wrong answer. Whatever you want to be and whatever you want to pursue, you should, right?
Yeah.
And if you can do it in such a way where it benefits the people that you're able to touch, whether it's your own children, your spouse, your siblings, your parents, your co-workers. I mean, there's just so many people that we come in contact all the time with. Just bring something positive every day.
And yeah, I remember my dad, he was here with my kids for a little bit and he said, why don't you make this the best day? And I can hear now my kids talking about this because why is it the best day? I mean, we say that, right? I mean, we think, well, why would this be? Because it's the only day we have. It's how we started breakfast. I don't know how you did when your little kids were going, but we have 4 kids lined up at the counter and they're all needing to eat. And it's chaos.
Yeah.
And my wife keeps them calm and tries to get them out the door. But those are moments of teaching. It's some better than our graduate degrees that could be memories because you don't know what will impact them. Just as our caregivers know that this is the moment that I have with this patient who is not well. This is my moment. And how can I be present to them and what they need to heal? I think those are the things we're building within these programs is a greater awareness that faith and Catholicism and these opportunities of being bridge builders is a place of deep transformation.
Yes, yes. So tell us a little bit more about the programs that you're building to try to continue that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we do is we have various levels and seasons of caregivers, and those caregivers are people who have different needs at those times. And each of the programs kind of have a way of looking at how do you infuse the mission, the values, the vision of those who are our founding congregations, as we would call them. And what we do is we bring them together. We also have time for them to take content that is some of our Catholic social teachings, the ways that we build out our principles, our ethics. And those things are not done in a PowerPoint or a quick moment. They're done in overall time periods that allow for you to hear from, we call them luminaries, people who are really wisdom figures. And we also have elements that are of the senses. And so things we've all talked about already today, how do the senses help me become more aware of these principles and the self-discovery of that? And we're seeing that those learnings are taken back to their teams. We're seeing that they are helping to retain those people. And for me, I think that it is a real way of building community, that these lessons or the ways that we see as core to the organization are worth spending time on. And that is not always given in organizations. The time to be reflective, the time to be aware of where you're headed, the why that you have, and to do it in a way that honors the person, not to give them a memorization, but to have an experience of what this tradition has given us. Just as you animated with my life story, there's other ways to translate traditions, and you're welcome as different faiths and whomever you are into this experience of a healing ministry, healing opportunity.
Right. Now, what could people in the community that may be listening to us do if they wanted to potentially get more involved and help people as well?
Well, I think one thing is we really find the opportunity to work within the health system, to work within Providence, but more too, if you just are someone who wants to keep learning. If you want to explore some of these topics that we talked about today, they're available. And there's an opportunity that we even have with how these notions are being listened to and what takes place. And I think over time, people will take this and say, what can I do within my mission of my company that says I want to recognize the people who are here and I want to spend time within their lives and what their senses are that are feeding who they are. They could do that today. Think about a meeting that you just went to. What went on in the meeting? What did you see when you went in there? Was there water on the floor? Did it smell? Were people anxious? I mean, or did we just present something and then we moved on? I mean, these are very fundamental skills of self-discovery that we're helping people animate and bring forward in their leadership.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great to be able to have that. Now, as we wrap up our interview, what do the next 6 to 12 months look like for you? It's exciting.
Well, I'd say what's exciting is we're about to launch a cohort of our caregivers of 750 within the program next week. What's exciting about that is everyone is new and how they are going to bring their story of our significant financial challenges that we know are there, and how do we still bring people through these formative experiences. And that's exciting to me. It's also exciting to me that we have different seasons of executives who are going through some of these programs. And one of the ways I think that we're even mindful of how our own lives could be transformed. We're about to graduate schools, right? Our kids are graduating from schools. And I think it's going to be a summer of different ways that parents and children are coming together as a community. And that's exciting to me because I don't know what's ahead, especially having young children. And so both of these opportunities of new caregivers entering in, us trying to figure out how we're going to simplify in these financially constrained times. But I think it also means that we stand on the shoulders of our missions and what we believe, our core values and the principles. And that gets me out of bed in the morning.
No, that's awesome. That's super exciting. Now, thanks so much for your time for sharing all of this. But if there's somebody on the audience that wants to get a hold of you and maybe learn more about it and maybe how they can help, how could they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can contact me at Providence, and we can give out that contact. We can also find ways that they listen to podcasts that are out there. We have podcasts, Providence Walk With Me. We have ways that, just creating a dialogue. I'd love to hear from people about how they're in their group doing these mission focused ways that help people. And I think, Danny, you're helping to facilitate that.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm just doing this, it's fun to be able to do this for our listeners and just to provide different guests because everybody can add value in one way or another. And like you, today is a special show and you're able to add value in one way and be able to touch the community. That's super important that we can't forget as we progress within our careers, within our lives, to be able to sit back and, hey, you know what, how can I help somebody else out at the same time?
Yeah. We have a lot of opportunity as we drive to take a look at who are people in need in these streets of San Clemente. And I think that any way that we can do that would be a helpful way to say that we're all one.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Martin, for coming on our show.
Yeah.
And congratulations on what you have done. And for our listeners, please go to ocpowerplayers.com. Follow us on your favorite channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So thanks for coming on and sharing, Martin. So what's going to happen in about 3 weeks, we'll publish. We'll also send you some shorts so you can post if you're on social media. But what I wanted to ask you, I have 4 boys.
Yeah.
My oldest wants to be an FBI. My 2 middle ones want to get into the real estate business. And then my youngest one wants to be a priest.
Are you serious, Danny?
Yeah.
I would be very open if you wanted me to talk to him as a person. You know, they had me interview with someone who had my life journey, and when I was interviewing, I never thought that that would be me, because you enter into it for your entire life. And Danny, I had no idea why people reached out that you and I were going to talk. I just went with it and said I trust it. And if there's anything I can do to help, there are so many opportunities of religious life, of ways of priesthood that I think are important to explore. So I would go to retreats with the Dominicans. I went to retreat with the diocesan priests. I went to retreat with the Jesuits. And it wasn't until I grew up in the Jesuit kind of tradition, but that helped me to enter into that. Now, it wasn't beautiful all the time, but that wasn't our conversation today. And I think
Yeah.
that people, it depends on the age, it depends on life experience. It also depends on just being aware that things happen, life changes. I'm kind of an anomaly where even within the Roman Catholic Church, they might not want me to tell my story, Danny. And I felt comfortable to talk to you today and know that, you know, we all have something to share, but I've been very lax to talk about my story, because you don't know how people are going to judge you. But I think it is important that people see you can do something different, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting because he just all of a sudden, now we're Catholic, Roman Catholic, and we go to church.
Yep.
But I don't want to say we're like overly in the sense that we're he came up with this idea on his own, right?
Yeah,
He said,
right.
I want to be a priest. He said it about 3-4 years ago.
Mhm.
And he's at church, I don't know how many times a week. You know,
Wow.
he's an altar boy. He helps with the funerals. He helps with the weddings. He helps with the churches. He helps train other kids that are altar servers. He joined the Knights of Columbus. He goes and he helps. And he's told me, he goes, you know, Dad, he goes, I don't want to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, and I was in corporate finance.
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to throw away everything and think about poverty. So I
Yeah.
get it. I was there. I was on mission and I think that I'd love to know how old is he?
He's 19. He's going to be 20 this month.
Where does he want to go? Does he want to join the diocesan seminary?
You know what? Here's the feeling. We've talked to people and we haven't had anybody really give us that real direction.
Well, I can give, if you want to call me, this
Yeah.
is probably beyond, you know, but I'm happy to take your call and to have coffee with you and extrapolate a little bit on this, because even when meeting with Bishop Fryer, you know, he said, Martin, it's okay for you to talk about your story. It's okay. And I hadn't heard that since I've left. And I left, you know, 13 years ago and built this life that you and I talked about. And I think that there are people out there who can help. And my family was very engaged in the Jesuit thing. So they were all in. So I think retreat is important if he's praying. I was trying to convey that today of people's sense of, are you on silent retreat? Are you taking the time to have a prayer life? You can intellectualize this thing. It is nothing to do with power, because it all can go away when you walk out the door, which was my experience.
Yeah. And so what I want to be able to do is expose them to the right, maybe tools
Of
or things
course.
that would give him some guidance to be able to choose what path he wants to take. I tell him when we go to church, I said, hey, make sure you pray to God and ask him to help you make some good decisions. But I feel like the lack of tools and exposure is not really helping him. That keeps him a little bit confused. So yeah, if you can give me, you know.
Yeah, let me just write down my number, okay?
Yes, I have it. I have it.
Oh yeah, you called me. You
Yeah.
called me when I couldn't figure out that website thing. I hope you know what, I was gonna have to talk about what that was. But you just call me. I'm all over the world though. So
yeah, what would be do you think of bringing him to lunch? And now he's very quiet and shy.
Okay.
Um, would it be good to bring him and maybe meet for lunch?
Sure.
Or maybe meet you and you give me some,
Maybe
he goes
why
to
don't
the streets. I don't know. See, that's
we
the thing.
Well, here's what you want to do. I hear you. You want to do the best for your son. We could meet for coffee and then we could talk more. I'm traveling back and forth to Seattle, but there's time this summer that I'm around, and then we could have a longer conversation. Even your wife might have questions, about what this all means. And most kids aren't saying, "I want to be a priest." And I was that guy. I mean, my recommendation for the Jesuits came from the chief financial officer of McDonald and Company, the investment bank I worked for, and that to me shaped me. But there are a lot of challenges within the church too. This is not an easy path, and I'm sure as parents there are levels of just what this is going to be.
Mhm. Okay, I'll reach out to you. We'll set something up. I'm looking for all the guidance because I don't know.
Yeah,
Right? As a father, I want to be able to guide my children to what they want to do, not to what I want them to do. They pick their careers. They have to do the work. I'm the cheerleader.
and guess what? Maybe that was the point of this interview, was that I would be here to help with that as best I can,
Yeah,
best
yeah.
I can.
Okay, all right. Let's stay in touch for sure. I appreciate it, Martin.
Yeah, Danny, good to be with you. And what's your son's name? I'll pray for him.
Adrian.
Adrian?
Adrian is his name.
I'll pray for him. You pray for me, Danny, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Martin.
Okay. I'll see you.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.